Alrighty, you guys, so when it comes to Bleach Soul Reasonance, I have been playing the heck out of it. Truth be told, obviously I'm max level, I've unlocked practically every content. I am 2 levels off 60, so well on our way to further progressing a little bit more further. I have access to all the characters, of course, and so with all of that, I do want to give my thoughts on how I would rank each of these characters. Now, not gonna waste anyone's time, we're going to get straight into it and we're just going to kind of call it how it is. I've spoken about it previously, there's nothing more to say other than the fact that number 1 DPS, number 1 support, they're the 2 priors, you know, when it comes to this Ichigo in particular, in terms of his holification state, when it comes to that ultimate, that is the biggest cheese that the game has, purely because the damage output on that is insane. And you know, proof is in the pudding. When it comes to content, I've basically powered through everything that the game has to offer through that man in particular when it comes to him being my main DPS. I mean, right now I've kind of served Aizen up to Hitsugaya on a silver platter. Where is it? Yeah, so pretty much powered through a mode where the bosses, well, it kind of requires you to run blue units, right? So you get the typing advantage. Well, I did all it with Ichigo and Urahara. Can't forget Urahara. But yeah, I've got to the final boss, and I'm pretty much just gonna serve him up to Hitsugaya, of course, with the blue mono team. So that's gonna be beautiful to see. I say blue mono, Urahara will more than likely make his appearance in that team. So there's that. Obviously we'll get to these two eventually. Still need to work on a tad bit more on Yoruichi and she'll be good to go, and then we can kind of really see what like damage potential she can have. But she's still a fantastic unit. Again, in the previous beta I did have the luxury of again utilizing the DOT team, Yoruichi and whatnot. Even right now with where they're at, they are still pretty solid, but I just need to level up Yoruichi so I can max out her damage. But anyway, getting lost, Ichigo definitely is the number 1 DPS so far. Urahara, there's nothing, actually to be fair, I'm actually going to switch them around because I find Urahara more valuable and highly more, well, okay, I mean, yeah, okay, goddamn, I wish we can like break down this tier list to kind of give them their respectful slots, but yeah, we'll leave it as is actually, because I feel like Ichigo, you know, having that power, because in terms of having support, there is alternative plays outside of Urahara. But anyway, yeah, Urahara definitely will be up there with Ichigo, being the best of the best because of his support play and what he provides for the team as an all-rounder. Of course, he himself can get his own little buffs, especially with the ultimate, to get that crit boost going, so that way he can do some damage. I mean, to be fair, his damage isn't anything too insane. This is why I'm hoping that on full release, I'm really hoping, where is it? Yeah, I think it's his final dupe. This final buff to give him the extra 10% on the crit and crit damage, it's only specifically for him. I need that. I need him to change, because I'm gonna be honest, his damage isn't anything too crazy in terms of his initial hits. Obviously the poison DOT that he does over time, that's pretty clutch, because of course it stays on the field, so that's kind of helpful in terms of that additional damage. But in terms, I mean, he's clearly there for the buffs. But yeah, I do hope that they look into that and just really push him for the team, because then in that case, yeah, no, he will really be highly desired for in terms of then chasing for those dupes. So yeah, that's something which I hope they do. But either way, respectfully, these two are the top dogs right now in terms of on where the game is at. And yeah, when it comes to the chase for the official release, how you want to start your account with, and realistically who you really want to max out, of course. So that's kind of a given on those two. Now with all of that, I am putting Tozen behind the boys. Again, in terms of the battlefield skill, he is the DOT battlefield skill user, and again, in terms of the amount of bleed he can apply when he's in use, when he's in the back, when it comes to the support, along with his battlefield skill, of course, he's one of the best in my eyes. He's one of the best. Obviously, with the battlefield characters, I would say that they're all good, but one of the SSRs really isn't anything too crazy, which is pretty disappointing, I will say, because I wouldn't regard them as an A tier. But Tozen is definitely one of the better ones out there in terms of more so of pairing him up with Ikkaku or Uryu, I would say. And then of course the support play would, well, as it shows for the most part, will be Urahara, to be fair. Outside of that, You wouldn't need Orihime unless you want heals. Renji, nah, I really wouldn't go for Renji either. Although Renji technically does fit in the DOT play in terms of his DOT that he can apply, but yeah, I would say it's more so having that range play bleed with Uryu, of course. And then if you want to really maximize the DOT play, it will be with Ikkaku, of course. So that's kind of what we're looking at. But Tozen is one of the better battlefield users in respectfully the DOT type side of things, of course. So if that's something that you want to capitalize and maximize on, then yeah, one of the better battlefield users, of course. Byakuya will be behind, and again, one of the better battlefield users. Again, specifically, well, okay, so, okay, that team comp is not too bad. Okay, that's, yeah, okay, it's not all doom and gloomy. So Byakuya is actually a pretty solid unit. I've only slowly just worked on him, of course. I mean, if I can cater more to him, then fantastic. But in terms of the battlefield usage, I mean, keep in mind with the amount of time you can activate his battlefield skill, I think that's a total of 6 times, but I think that's when his weapon is implied, if you have his weapon engraving, of course. And then, of course, if you want to cater to making so that your whole team is affected with some form of bonus through the battlefield, you can really pile it on with the amount of times that Byakuya's battlefield skill will be usable, of course. Not only that, keep in mind that with his skills, you can kind of leave him to do his thing whilst changing to someone else, so there's that. You've got that team comp of kind of always staying on the enemy whilst doing as much damage as possible, of course. So I really do love that when it comes to Byakuya. And plus he refills his battlefield skill in terms of when you use his skill, of course. Obviously when the Bankai is in full effect, that does decent damage. I've only just started to realize that when Byakuya is actually done up quite nicely, his DPS potential is pretty nice, especially with the help of Urahara, of course. So that's something that I need to still maximize on and work on. But yeah, Byakuya, when he's done up quite nicely, the red team, the damage output that they have together is beautiful. And again, with all that you can apply with battlefield users, getting that extra bit of damage for the whole team, and obviously when you use the battlefield skill for Byakuya, you get that 30% extra damage for the whole gang. Yeah, I mean, overall Byakuya is definitely one to look out for. Yeah, I mean, of course, yeah, there is no stipulation to the typing in terms of when you do choose to use them to get the buffs with a certain somebody, which I know some people have picked. That then brings me to Yajiro, of course. So again, furthermore completing the red team, Yajiro is definitely up there in terms of an alternative support. Now, I believe, just to kind of make sure that we're all on the same playing field, I'm pretty sure she is more so supporting the red typing, so just bear that in mind. So with that, and of course the red typing low-key being kind of like the best team, the best typing right now with the top characters, yeah, it's kind of stating the obvious on why right now she will be definitely up there. Being a fantastic support. Again, it's fairly easy to use this unit. Again, it's more so in the same form of Byakuya, kind of being in and out, dipping in and out. Obviously that spectator mode really helping out and just keeping up with that consistency of buffs being applied for us to do as much damage as possible. So yeah, overall Yajiro is definitely an alternative play if you don't have Urahara. Urahara is more so of an overall push, but you can comfortably still push with Yajiro, of course, along with the two boys being Ichigo and Byakuya, to really maximize the red typing. So that's why, for me personally, in terms of with like Momo releasing with Hitsugaya, I'm hoping that if she does come in as a support unit, which I feel like should be the case for the blue typing, I've got hope, because I'm telling you, these SR units, one, they're not bad, but two, we've got a crazy good, I guess we could say mono red support unit in an SR form. So yeah, I'm looking forward to what Momo will bring to the table. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's good. Alright, next up is Yoruichi. You know what? I feel bad for Yoruichi because I pulled her. She was the last character that I needed to get, and I feel so bad because I do want to also get out her full kit. So I'm hoping upon full release we do get a little bit lucky, because Yoruichi is a potential to be, well, I'm looking at the lineup. She might be a second in terms of the power that Ichigo possesses. Because the thing about Yoruichi is that she is on the offensive like a mother trucker. Her branch attack, if you deflect, if you dodge, all that good stuff, she's always got something to keep on the enemy. I believe when it comes to her ultimates, she can keep up buffing herself. She can quite easily recharge her spiritual pressure. Her branch attacks don't take any spiritual pressure when she's using it. So that consistency of staying on that offensive through any means, along with building up that ultimate super quickly, and it just kind of being like a rapid fire type of character, which kind of makes sense with Yoruichi, of course. She's definitely in my eyes up there, hence why I'm going to leave her in top A. And then once I get a full kit and fully experienced and level her up to the max, I feel like she's definitely a high tier contender. That I genuinely do feel like that. Obviously with my previous experience with Yoruichi, again, she was low-key hard carrying with the damage that she was possessing, and it was more so how consistent her skill usage was with all that you can do with her with the branch attacks, how it takes nothing for you to keep on activating it. So it's more so just basically a bonus reward essentially with her skill. Okay, so I was kind of 50-50 on whether I wanted to put this unit up in A, but I think I'm just going to put them in low A, and that is Ikkaku, of course. Ikkaku, again, one of the, well, I guess you could say the second best bleed unit that we have for the DOT team. Again, this was my first SSR back in the previous beta. Obviously, I managed to single summon him, God knows how, but hallelujah. But essentially, this is I guess the DPS side for the DOT team, of course, in terms of him just again staying that off. I mean, that's kind of like the initial premise of what this unit is pretty much doing. So honestly, to have him and Tozen together is pretty nice, especially by having Ikkaku up on the field, having that consistent damage off, and then within a certain hit on this combination, Tozen will then appear and just kind of throw his little daggers, needers, call it what you will, to kind of effectively apply that little bit more bleed. But realistically, once the Bankai is in effect, again, he just kind of goes into that rage mode, and it's kind of like non-stop kind of spinning, applying as much bleed as you can, and thankfully at the end of it there is a big whammy attack that he can do to kind of send it off and go back to his normal form. So yeah, in terms of the amount of bleed that you can apply, well, I say comparing him, putting him with Tozen, of course, it is a disgusting combination. So even though this, I don't know if Tozen's combination actually involves Uryu. I don't think it does, but it really should, because it involves it with Ikkaku, which I'm just like, I would have much preferred it with Tozen. But either way, what we're trying to get at, again, the main focus of that, he is the main DPS for the yellow typing, if you guys didn't know, of course. But yeah, he is high on that offensive. Especially once that Bankai is in effect and you build up his bar for him to just do that continuous attack. That is disgusting, and that's the way you can apply a little bit more bleed, of course. But having him with the combination with Tozen, that is where you will see some crazy amount of bleed to be fair, you might be able to max out the amount of bleed that you can apply, especially if you're also taking into consideration Tozen's Bankai too. So yeah, that's I will give him the respected high tier, purely because of these two's combination, and the DOT play is not to be slept on. It's pretty valuable for the game itself. Alright, so Komamura, I'm actually going to be putting him in B. Still good, don't get me wrong, still good, but in terms of the battlefield users, I would say just slightly below them. The key thing about Komamura is, well, the one thing which I will say is he's more so of a safety barrier of a type of character to kind of keep your, well, to provide a little bit more survivability for your team, because of course, obviously his Bankai, I mean, that alone, once you're into that form, you really can't be touched at that point, and the damage itself isn't, well, so far the damage isn't anything too crazy on my end, since I've got him at 25k. I do have all of his kit, but yeah, it's nothing too crazy, right? But the key factor for this man is the fact that he is providing, like I said, survivability for the team. It's that shield play. So mainly for Yoruichi, of course, should I say. But also, once a shield is in place, you can absorb a certain amount of damage. And again, it's all for your whole team. If it provides him with a critical rate increase, that's it. I believe he might have been nerfed, because if I can remember correctly, I'm pretty sure at one point his shield provided critical hit damage with critical rate increase. But unfortunately, yeah, it's only just critical rate, but I'm confident it was applying 2. So I don't know if there's a nerf on there and if that was the actual thing. But either way, yeah, his damage is decently well. He's got that survivability. He's a bit of a safety barrier type of character. Obviously, team comp-wise, I don't think there's not too much going on for him. So, obviously, these are the respected teams if you want to utilize his battlefield skill and whatnot. Obviously, he does give out the 30% damage, of course, every time he uses the battlefield skill. It does drop the enemy's resistance. So that's still a decent play. Kind of gives me reminiscence of Byakuya's kind of battlefield usage, of course. But respectfully, you are going to be, I mean, the best of the best you're going to get it is with Yoruichi, of course. So, yeah, having his survivability and protection with the critical rate increase for Yoruichi with the slight little damage increase too, yeah, that's going to be a pretty nice combo to have. So, like I said, not all doom and gloomy. Still a decent battlefield user, especially if you want to maximize on the Yoruichi team, of course. But with what I've experienced so far, I wouldn't say it's anything to the level of Byakuya and Tozen. Yeah. That's just my thought process of it. But like I said, I did level him up, give him a fair shot and whatnot. Got all of his kit. I did the whole shebang. I was looking forward to Gomamura because, of course, I have tried his Bankai in the previous beta. Still beautiful, still quick and ass. I can now move around. Pretty dope. I think this one's just going to be short and sweet. Orihime will go into B because I don't know what it is, but whenever a new game drops, there's always that one healer in the game. So, yeah, respectfully, healers typically just typically get that, that push to be like, alright, well, she's a support unit in general, of course, but yeah, when it comes to healing, she's the only character for that, so we're just gonna kind of put her in the auto mid of the tier list. It's just, yeah, it's I feel like it's like a general thing now when it comes to the games, but obviously as time goes on, with more healers releasing and whatnot, she'll probably drop down to C eventually, but for right now I'm just gonna give it the B because, again, yeah, that's all we got to work with. So my girl Rukia, there we go. So I've actually just recently put some work into Rukia in preparation of Hitsugaya, of course. Obviously, the main premise for Rukia is that she is just going to be hindering the enemy with the freeze play. I believe once the enemy is in once they're frozen, I'm confident to say that there's some extra bonus damage to be applied from that. So that's one of the big play for her. The other thing about Rukia is, of course, she is a battlefield user. She is a battlefield skill user. She's actually a pretty solid one too, by the looks of it, because again, once the battlefield skill is in use and she's got the area applied, she can drop the enemy's resistance, which is nice. But more importantly, by being in the area that Rukia, I guess, creates through her battlefield skill, it provides damage reduction as well as healing. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. But in terms of when it comes to her actual role, again, it's just to hinder the enemy. And I think to maximize on how she plays with Hitsugaya is, I truly do believe Hitsugaya is going to be getting that play to where if the enemy is frozen, then he can gain some more damage from that. I'm really pushing for that. I hope they should stick with that, because if that is the case, then the value for Rukia will be there with that combination. And I've just realized, where is it? Momo, she's a blue typing. There you go. So, yeah, I think Momo could be a huge play in terms of being. So she's definitely going to be support. Momo's coming in definitely as support. If Rukia's going to be that hindering support unit to freeze the enemies and whatnot, and to provide some form of survivability through a battlefield skill, of course, Hitsugaya definitely is going to be DPS, no doubt in my mind. Which then leaves Momo. So Momo might be the SR support. Obviously, Urahara will definitely be in the equation of things, but yeah, I am looking forward to the upcoming banner with Momo and Hitsugaya being the blue support. So I think Rukia deserves where she is at right now. Very good solid unit right now, soon to be for blue typing, so it can't be slept on. Alright, next up is Uryu. Yeah, you know what, we'll put him in here. I think he deserves a good shot too. Again, Uryu, a very simple character. Obviously he does have the battlefield skill usage too. He does have linked skills, so obviously when you're utilizing other characters, then of course he can come in and do his little pop shots. That's why I say with him and Tozen, that's a really good combination. Unfortunately, it's not exactly shown here, which is unfortunate. I think it should have been put in here. I would say that would be more prio, to be fair, in my personal opinion. But whatever, the game can only show two teams. It is what it is. We have to find the other team ourselves. But yeah, he's pretty much a simple character, nothing too crazy. I believe on the total on what we're getting in terms of his battlefield skill bonus for the whole team is around about 15%, so half of what others are providing, of course. But in terms of keeping that range, having him specifically paired up with Tozen, which is what I would say you can maximize with. yeah, it's not too bad of a bleed long range play. Plus, on top of that, he can quite easily build up his spiritual pressure to get his battlefield skill usage, well, used at the ready. But in that case, if you are utilizing him with Tozen, you would want to furthermore cater to running his battlefield skill over Uryu's, because you're gaining 15% extra damage, of course. But in the case of where he's the only one, then yeah, I mean, you just have to make do with the 15% and I guess enjoy the little pop shots that he can apply. So, and again, nothing too crazy on Uryu's end. Also, I will say I do like how they're using the more up-to-date artwork too with the current arc right now. So that's pretty dope. But yeah, coming back to my boy Uryu, I'm waiting for that SSR version. That's all I'm trying to say. Well, what are we doing now? Renji. Oh god, I want to put Renji. Yeah, Renji isn't too bad. I mean, there is that snake bite that he can apply. That then allows him to do like 45% extra damage and whatnot. I mean, again, it's nothing too crazy in terms of with the other options for the yellow typing, but I just think in terms of the yellow typing and the options that you have, he's just something that I really wouldn't invest too much in. Obviously, with my Renji, he's maxed out, so you know I've got the luxury of utilizing him with his buffs and whatnot. But yeah, for me personally, just wasn't exactly up to par to what the alternative yellow typing combination duo mono team that you can run. So yeah, I think respect, I put Renji in C. Again, I mean, for the most part, again, he's DPS. He's got the debuff where he can apply the snake bite onto the enemy. That then correlates into him just doing some extra bit of damage. That's pretty much the main premise of this character. There's nothing more to it, unfortunately. Yeah, I think C is kind of really where it's going to be at with him. Now, if I'm going to keep it real, I'm just going to say this. My boy Chad, low-key, is a underdog of a character. This man is an absolute, he's a solid unit. I'm gonna give it to him. If you do manage to get this man and you do get dupes of him and whatnot, try him out. I mean, if you are in need of something for the yellow team, sorry, not the yellow team, the orange team, then Chad is not to be slept on with the DPS power that he possesses. Now, the key thing about this man is he can grab like elites and lower enemies, of course, which is pretty solid, I will say. He can kind of pierce through the damage. It's pretty awesome. You can build up a spiritual pressure to kind of consistently run towards the enemy to do some damage non-stop. I believe he doesn't get like interrupted or flinched by that, which is very solid, you know, keeping true to my boy Chad. But more importantly, you know, if you drop his ultimate, I think he gets like 30% of his HP back, which is pretty solid. He can also build up his spiritual pressure quite efficiently, of course. He also has a passive to where, depending on how low his HP is, he can benefit from getting critical hit rank, critical hit damage. So like, if his current HP is like lower than 75%, his critical rating damage goes up by like 20%, 40%. If it's at like 50%, then he gets like an increase of his critical rate of like 30%, and then he gets like a crit damage increase of like 60%. Like it's kind of crazy. So like, depending on the shift and pattern of his HP, of course, you can get some bonus benefits from that. Obviously, like I said, the ultimate will always be there to provide some form of survivability because he can get some HP back, but honestly, not a bad unit, I will say. So yeah, in terms of Bleach Soul Resonance, they are doing my boys Chad some respect, because definitely an underdog type of character for the orange typing. Again, utilize him in the main DPS form, so just kind of pair him up with more so, I mean, I would primarily put him with Urahara, of course, and then just kind of work with an additional unit right there. He's not a battlefield user, so you don't have to worry about that, but he will be the main DPS, I would say. Alright, we got our girl Nemu. By the way, her artwork that they've done on Nemu right now is goddamn. But yeah, in terms of this character, again, it's more so on the supportive side of things, support role. If you actively use her ultimate, then she can apply some extra damage for the team, which I think starts at like 10%, around about 10%, I'd say. But the key thing about this character is that she has states, call it what you will, where she's got a like different leg states, like left, right, if you want to call it that, upper limb, but lower limb, somewhere around there. And basically, depending on what you have, I think if she's in the lower leg state, then it's going to be like she can help the character that's currently on the field to basically do some damage reduction, so they'll be able to absorb more damage. And then if it's on the upper leg state, then she'll give some form of, I think it's like a flat out damage increase rather than a percentage play. So yeah, outside of that, I think that's kind of for the most on what we're working with. Nothing too crazy, but just a little bit of bonus for the gang in terms of what her role is. So Yeah, I would personally put Nemu in. Again, not too bad. Again, we know her role. We know what the premise of what she's doing. Unfortunately, in terms of the support role, it's nothing, nowhere near to the extent of what the others are providing. But it's something. You know, you got a little bit of something. You would definitely actively use this if you need a mono orange team. But I would override her and put Urahara if you've got access to that. Definitely, 100%. But she's there. But I just. Yeah, I would say slowly build her up if you've got the time. If you've got the time. If you don't, it's fine. You're not losing out on anything. So Nemu definitely, yeah, she's nothing too crazy, unfortunately. Alrighty, well, we got Uryu right here. Honestly, bit of a kind of a character that I'm not sure if it kind of, well, I mean, then again, they can't do all threes typing for the blue typing, but essentially Uryu is more so on the DOT time, on the DOT side of things, of course, because she applies burn. Yeah, she kind of gets her rocket launcher and just kind of Uru's her way through the enemy. Obviously, once you build up a spiritual pressure, of course, yeah, you can hold it down and you can just consistently fire rockets towards the enemies, of course. Her ultimate does like a big, huge rocket attack, of course, and that then leaves like an area on the field where you could just let the enemy burn up. So yeah, a pretty interesting character, not to say the least. I did actually initially work on her because I was just a big fan of the whole Gatling gun that she had going on. So yeah, it wasn't too bad, to be fair. I wouldn't say she's absolutely horrible. She's got something going for her. Respectfully, I kind of want to put her up in B. I don't know, because she's also a fun unit. You know, I'm gonna give her the respect for B. I'm gonna give her the respect for B, because I mean, okay, well, damage output is anything too crazy either. So I kind of want to be realistic about it. Okay, I'll definitely be in high C. Yeah, we'll leave it as that. Yeah, she's not a bad character though. I really did enjoy using her. You're gonna have a lot of fun using her if that's something that you want to kind of utilize. Again, it's more so of the burn that she can apply. Her damage isn't too horrible either. She's got good range play, so obviously there's that. Obviously with her initial normal hit, it is close combat. But with the hold down and the ultimate, again, that's range play going in there. But yeah, once you get those initial damage going off and you build up her spiritual pressure, you can really just kind of let loose by doing as much shots, and each hit does flinch the enemy, so that's also something to note. Unless they got some form of flinch resistance, then you are pretty much cooked. You are pretty much cooked. But yeah, I wouldn't say, yeah, the funness of this character is very solid, pretty unique. I want more characters like this because it was very fun, and again, it does kind of change things in terms of with where the blue typing is, like with where they're leading towards the blue typing with the release of Hitagaya. It's going to be more effective with Hitagaya, Momo, and Rukia, or Hitagaya, Rukia, and Urahara, of course. But with her being in the blue typing, it kind of, I don't know, it changes things a little bit in terms of what more additional that they can apply onto the blue typing with her DOT burn play, or just burn play in general. So we've got ice play, we've got burn play for the with the blue typing. Yeah, cool. And then yeah, so when it comes to the Ichigos, when you start the game, these are just kind of 2 Ichigos that you get, of course. So essentially how it's going to work is yeah, I mean, this is, yeah, I mean, there's nothing more to say. They're just kind of starter characters to kind of get you going until you get things picked up, of course. And plus they're red typing, so you know, there's that. You can really, I mean, you can start off pretty strong if you get you know, some Battlefield users, supports and whatnot. You know, then they can still be effectively used quite nicely. But yeah, actually, you can fight the case to put Ichigo up here. Actually, you know, I'll put him high C for now. But technically speaking, with this Ichigo, you can technically, because he's not too bad either. So you could state your case to put him at low B. So I'm tempted. Okay, you know what? For the most part, I'm just gonna leave him here just to kind of keep it in order. But yeah, just know that with this Ichigo, you can put him up here if you choose to. So yeah, I think that is where I'm going to leave things in terms of the characters and what I've experienced of my own gameplay, of course. So just bear that in mind. Obviously, having the luxury of having access to all these characters, yeah, I think this is kind of where I would want to class them out, of course. But yeah, we'll see what goes on. We'll see how things shift up with the release of Hitagaya, where that pushes Rukia, because I'm curious to see on how well of character she'll become, because of course that's another thing I like to factor in. But for the most part, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is where I'm going to be keeping my tier list for Bleach Soul Resonance, and again, for the most part, this is also going to be staying the same up until release. So yeah, I don't think I mean, well, unless do some changes, unless do some changes, but I doubt they'll do that, to be fair, since the game, if they feel it's more polished, then they'll just kind of release it. So yeah, there you go. That's my take on the characters, as well as where I would rank them. So yeah.